All right, AP. Now that we have paid the bills, it's time for Mailbag Mania here on Women Talking Football.
Mailbag
what do we
Mania.
have? What's our first question?
Oh, good idea. Hang on. Let me pull that up.
We had a lot of questions. Thank you guys for sending them in. A lot of really good variety, too.
Yeah. All right. We'll go rapid fire here. Is Texas or TCU more likely to win the Big 12 next season? In their final year of the Big 12 for Texas, at least.
Yeah. Do you have an answer? Do you make it first?
Well, I mean, we literally just did a segment on TFT that was looking at ESPN's FPI, I think, things, and they have Texas being in the college football playoffs. So that's huge.
Yes.
I think that TCU is going to be missing some really key pieces. We'll have to, I think that we'll have a better idea of that heading into maybe the second or third game of just seeing how other people step up. But that being said, I think Texas should be the favorite. There's no reason to.
No.
Do I want to say that Texas is going to make it to the college football playoffs yet? Absolutely not. They've got a lot to prove before then. But if you look at solely just the roster, the amount of depth and the level of skill guys that they have, there's no reason they shouldn't win the Big 12 championship. Like, if they don't win the Big 12 championship, something went wrong in my mind.
I agree. I 100% completely agree with you here. And I think that if they're in the hunt for a conference championship, this is the year to do it. Because I hate to say it, but next year when they're hopping up to the SEC, that's a whole other ball game.
Yeah.
Because it is a dogfight week in and week out. When you've got when you're consistently playing teams like Georgia, Tennessee, Florida. I mean, that's just a different Alabama. That's just a
A&M.
different Texas A&M right down the road. I mean, that's just a different level of college football. And I think Texas is in a better position now in their final year of the Big 12 to win a conference title over TCU. Because I think Texas, Steve Sarkisian has already come out and said that Quinn Ewers is going to be the starter over Arch Manning. So they've got a veteran quarterback at the helm there. They've got a really veteran, experienced offensive line to back them up. I think
their wide receiving core is insane.
They're losing Bijan Robinson, but they're bringing in a core group of running backs from the transfer portal. I really think that Texas is in a better position to claim a Big 12 title in their final year. And I really think that they are in the hunt for it because they know this is their final year. They know things are about to get a lot tougher. Maybe not a lot tougher, but just a different. There's going to be a different feel because they're not used to playing. They're not used to playing these SEC teams. You know what I mean? SEC talent is crazy, like we all know. So I think that they got a chip on their shoulder. They have something to prove, and I think also in the back of their heads, they're like, man, we are going to the SEC. We have something that we need to prove that we're going to be okay. Stepping up into an SEC role.
Yeah, and I mean, we talked about that from a lot of different perspectives of like from everybody that's moving. I mean, it should have been big for Houston to make a lot of noise before they went up to the Big 12 for Conference USA moving into the American. Like we SMU is actually the other team in Texas that they had favored to win their conference. They think that SMU will win the American. They had UTSA all the way down at like 4th or 5th on that list moving in the American, and I was like, they put Tulane, which played in a New Year's Six Bowl. I think they're bringing some people back. Okay,
am I crazy or did they beat USC? They beat USC, right? Tulane did?
Yes,
they beat USC.
Yeah, I think so. And then they had Memphis ahead of UTSA, and I was like, there's no way. But UTSA is coming in as the 2-time defending
that's
Conference USA championship. Like, they've got a chip on their shoulder saying, okay, we're going to go into it. That's what Texas needs moving into the SEC is the point of all of that. You want that and saying, hey, we're champs walking into this league and we're going to try to be champs again.
Actually, yes, I agree with you there. And I just think that TCU is losing too much in key positions, and they're bringing in a lot of guys from the transfer portal, which I think is really good. But also, I mean, those guys are they're gonna take time they need to acclimate, to the schemes and what coaches build over there.
Yeah, so it's funny. I didn't realize this was one of the questions, but one of the questions was who wins the American Athletic Conference this year and why. And so anyway, a lot of people think that SMU. I think that that's a very reasonable.
Have you, just on that same point, have you seen all of the transfers that they're bringing in, I think 85% of them are Power 5 schools, which I don't know how much weight you put into that. Nowadays,
think about when they were really good. I mean,
Right.
think about the years when, and I know this was under a different coach, but the reason that Sonny Dykes was so good at SMU was because he found a way to really utilize the transfer portal and say,
Yes.
hey, come back and play in the DFW. We're the team of Dallas.
Right.
We're all that. That's how we got Shane Buechele. That's how they ended up going on and almost winning the American Conference. Like, Rhett Lashley has followed that in a very positive way to a T, and I think that it's going to pay dividends this year.
It's working. It definitely is. Lashley is really followed in the footsteps of Sonny Dykes there. But yeah, I mean, it's crazy to see how many transfers. I went to the TCU and SMU game with Mike Craven, our college football insider, and we counted like how many transfers they had on their roster, and like almost half of them were, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
I mean, and like also this year, there's a ton of them coming from Miami, which obviously Lashley's using his Miami pool.
As you should.
Right. But they're definitely going to be good. I think they're going to be a definite top contender of the American.
I do too. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I was going to say who I think is going to win the
go.
American. I hate to stray away from UTSA.
Yeah.
I hate it. I hate to stray away from them. Dude, they have so much coming back. They've got an extreme veteran quarterback in Frank Harris. He is the guy. They're bringing back a core wide receiver group. Their offensive line is healthy. They're all veteran. Their defense is healthy. Most of them are coming back. It's hard to pick against a UTSA squad that is as veteran and as experienced. And not to mention, you have one of the best G5 coaches in the entire country with Jeff Traylor at the helm.
Well, and that's the other thing is we put so much stock into being a veteran team, but if you're a bad veteran team, yes, that bumps you up a little bit because you have a year's experience under your belt. They're a 2-time championship winning veteran squad. Jeff Traylor convinced the best quarterback that UTSA has ever seen to come back for another year. We were at the conference championship game down in San Antonio in the Alamo Dome. He got the chant, "One more year," started. Jeff Traylor, the head coach, started that chant for his quarterback and convinced donors to do NIL, I mean, that's it. And I just, it would be awesome to see SMU and UTSA go ahead, head to head for it.
I agree.
I think that those two have to be I would need to look at a deeper dive into Tulane's roster and what all they have coming back, because I can't, obviously I was at the Cotton Bowl when they won their New Year's Six Bowl this year, so it's that's great.
I know that they've got that quarterback coming back. I can't remember
really
his
good.
name, but they do. I know for a fact that they do have that quarterback coming back. Well, and it's not to mention, I mean, they've been playing against American talent for years. They know these teams really, really well. And UTSA, teams like UTSA and North Texas, they just don't, So I don't know how much stock that you put into that if you're used to your competition or whatnot. But
I think those are by far the top three teams.
Yes, UTSA, Tulane, and I'd argue SMU in there as well.
Yeah.
I think those are definitely the three front runners to win the American next year.
What they're thinking about Memphis. What do they know about Memphis that we don't know?
I don't either.
But
is Seth Hennigan's still the quarterback over there, isn't he?
Yeah, and he started to heat up pretty well
He started as a
year.
freshman, yeah, he's a really good quarterback over there.
I just don't think they have the supporting cast. Now, their basketball team's fantastic.
Yeah.
But, I just don't... I don't know. I don't know Memphis
much
football.
Right. And I truly I just don't know much about the bottom tier of the American either, just because we've never really had to pay close attention to them because we've been so focused on Conference USA. We've had so many teams in Conference USA. Rice is going over there now too to the American. I mean, it's just going to look like a completely different conference than before, and I just don't think we really. How do you pick? I mean, it's hard.
Yeah.
It's really difficult. So, who knows? That's our biggest take on what the American's going to look like next year. But what's next?
Who would you take number 1 in the draft this year?
There's a couple of guys I've got in mind. I'll go first though.
Yeah, because I'm going to be honest. I have no idea and have not had 2 seconds to pay attention to anything about the draft. So I'm out on this one. I don't know.
So I know that Carolina has the first pick because the Chicago Bears did have the first pick, but Carolina traded up to get that first pick because you know what they need? That team needs a quarterback.
Desperately.
Desperately. I found this stat. So
They need
they
everything.
finished 31st and 30th in total QBR in the past 2 seasons. That's horrible. So they need a quarterback bad.
Yeah.
And I mean, just looking at the pool of quarterbacks that are available this year, I think you got to go with Bryce Young at number 1. He's clearly the best quarterback in this group of, I don't know, what do you call them? Draftees, or what do you call, I mean, this group. Yeah, like this group of
Yes.
them. I think Bryce Young, I think you could argue CJ Stroud too from Ohio State. I think he's a really good quarterback, but I do think that Bryce Young is ultimately going to be probably the first quarterback drafted.
I agree.
So it's not, I don't think it's going to be anything but a quarterback. I think Carolina, I think they traded up to the number 1 spot for a very specific reason. Yeah. I also think that
you're not going to go number 1 and get, I mean, unless it's a running back situation, but it's kind of how much stock do you put into quarterback versus running back. At this point, you have to try and get a quarterback rather than a running back. Shelf life is just not long.
It's not feasible
anymore.
in the NFL anymore.
And that's another thing. Like, there are so many running back, like Zeke, like that. Yeah, they've got some mileage on him, but go get your number 1 quarterback, and then you can fill in the supporting cast of running backs that just haven't panned out other places.
Right. I mean, Zeke is a perfect example of that. I mean, he was fantastic in his couple of rookie years, and then you just start to see the wear and tear that the running back position in the NFL eventually takes.
Yeah, because you're playing high school, then you're playing college.
Exactly.
Like, I mean, he was a beast at Ohio State.
And the amount of contact that you have as a running back, it's an insane amount. So I think Bryce Young is clearly the number 1 answer here. 2021 Heisman candidate. He's a very impressive signal caller that I think will fit really, really well into their offensive scheme there at Carolina. So that's my pick.
All right.
What's next?
What is your favorite jersey of all time?
I have one.
Okay.
My favorite jersey is my Jaren Jackson Jr. jersey of the Memphis Grizzlies.
Okay, so jersey that you own.
Oh, are we doing? I interpreted that as the jersey that I own.
Oh, okay. Okay, we can do that. Do you have a favorite, like, designed jersey at any point in time?
What do you mean by that?
So when I think of, like, some of my favorite jerseys of all time, like, I don't own a Spurs Fiesta jersey, but, like, when they brought those out, I loved them. But, like,
I see what you mean there.
Like,
okay.
You know, a lot of teams will do, like, their city edition jerseys and stuff. Like, for me, it's always the old school Miami Vice Heat jerseys. Like, I love those. Absolutely love those. I can't remember which year when it came out, but it was a handful of years ago that they came out with one of their Miami Vice ones that was just like,
is that so? That's the that's like the bright pink and like the turquoise blue, right?
Let me see.
I mean, those. I honestly think that those might be the best of all time. So who is it? The Heat.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Ooh yeah. So
like, I love this.
I don't know
one.
if you could see. Yeah, I don't know if you
turn it around
can
without
see.
showing too much.
Yeah.
Yep. That's exactly it.
So that's
yeah.
That is
like,
beautiful. I think I kind of agree with you on that one. What's your favorite jersey that you own? Just going off of that last.
Hang on. This is the one that I was talking about. I love
yeah. That's
that
beautiful.
One. I absolutely, mainly because I did like the ones that they did that were like kind of faded into it. Like they had the ones that were like half blue, half pink faded, and I like those. Yeah. But that's a little, it's a little much. I like those because it's like it's very clear what you're doing. It's very clear what you're going for, and it's not too much. So I really, really like those. My favorite jersey that I own, when I was working at the athletic department, they gave me a Mean Green jersey to MC in, and they embroidered pickle on the back of it, and it was a number 75 like Mean Joe Green. So out of jerseys that I own, that's probably it.
There's no comparison there.
And it was like specifically given to me, so that was really cool.
Yeah.
Like
that's pretty stinking cool. Yeah. I think mine's got to be my Jaren Jackson Jr. jersey.
Yeah, that's fair. I will say,
cool.
if like talking about other jerseys that we like, this doesn't have anything. I love when blue blood college football programs don't switch their jerseys. Like the University of Texas does a really good job of that. They have
Alabama does too.
Alabama does. Like they have their two colors, like the white or the red or the burnt orange or whatever it is, and it's like those are your jerseys. Those are
Yeah.
what you're sticking with. It's as cool as it would be to go to Oregon and get a new jersey every single time. It's
They got
just
some
like
whack
sometimes
ones.
it's like, yeah, what are you doing?
It's too much.
Or there's certain ones, like I know that one that caused a lot of controversy was TCU's black ones with the purple or the red all around it. It's supposed to be the Horned Frog thing, but there's just a lot of times with jerseys like that, or city edition jerseys. Like the Rangers just released their city editions,
Yeah.
and people had a lot of hot takes on those. So there are just times where I feel like it's too much, and that's why I like that Miami one, because you knew exactly what they were going for, and it was just enough. Like
Right.
I'm very fundamentalist, I guess, when it comes to jerseys.
Right.
But yeah, the schools that they stick with what their jersey is,
Agreed.
I love it.
I've always loved Texas's all white jerseys with just like the burnt orange number on it. I think that looks so classy. And like Michigan State does a really good job of that too. I love our all green jerseys with the white lettering.
Yeah.
I just think that looks so slick. And then we've got white pants with it. Oh,
Yeah.
that's my favorite uniform that
After
we have.
I just get done talking about how much I don't like when teams like spice it up, I will say when North Texas came out with some of them had like chrome on them with the diving
yeah.
eagle, but the one that I liked the best was the matte black helmet, and it had a green diving eagle on the
Yes.
side, and then they would wear black and black, like it was full black.
Yes.
They would always do it around like the Halloween game was the big time that via the equipment manager guy would like put those out. But that all black look on North Texas with that matte black helmet, I always wanted to just try and steal one of those when I
Agreed.
was walking by, because like you're walking in the bowels of the stadium and you see one, and I was like, can I
it would
get
be
out
very
of here
easy for me to
with
just.
a matte black helmet? 'Cause
Wouldn't it be a
those
shame?
rule.
Wouldn't it be a shame if I just
Just whoosh.
took it? Yeah, those are sick.
Via's
though.
gonna run across this and be like, "Pickle, I never trusted you."
There's a reason I never trusted you. All right, what's next?
All right, two more here.
Yeah.
And then we'll wrap it up. Which classification do you think, top to bottom, has the most parity?
I'll let you answer this one because you had we talked about this one beforehand and you had a really good explanation as to why you picked this classification.
Yeah, I genuinely think you could talk me into 4A, but I want to say 5A. And my reasoning behind it is that's a level to where a lot of 5A schools are pretty much in the same type of area, whether that be like economically speaking or kind of they're not right in the big parts of the city, but they're a little bit outside. But the biggest reason that I think that 5A probably would be the best answer is because when you start getting into those lower classifications, the gaps make such a big difference. And like I always think back to when I was in high school, we were just over the cutoff line at Llano to be into 3A, like just over, like 3 or 4 people. Liberty Hill, that is very, very close down to Austin, was just underneath the cutout. We would have been going down, they would have been going up. So when we had about 500 kids, they had about 1,000 kids. They're living in the big old city, like that's hard to compete with. So I think that when you start talking about the lower classifications, you just don't have the numbers. Like you kind of, here are your athletes and this is what you have to work with.
Right.
I feel like when you get into that 5A level, most of the time kids are choosing what sports they want to do. Like, so you have your football guys, and some of the time your football guys are not playing basketball and they're not playing baseball. When you're in a small town, you're playing every single sport.
That's
so
a
you
really
never
good point
get
that I
a
didn't think
chance.
about. Yeah.
You never get a chance to focus on one sport. You're a one-horse town, so you're working with what you got. I think if I had to choose the one that's like I feel like the most even playing field, 5A would probably be it.
I think so too. And
Just my personal opinion.
I agree. And one of the points that I brought up too is when you look at these massive cities like Arlington ISD, or you can look at Denton ISD when they have, I guess Denton ISD is probably not the greatest because they've got 5 and 6A, but
Katy or
Arlington
Cy-Fair.
ISD, right, where they've got 6 or 7 massive 6A schools, you're pulling from the same kids in that city. So there is, for the most part, there's going to be a lot of parity there. It's not like in the small towns where, this city just happens to be really, there's a ton of athletes there, and the next city isn't, so I agree with you that I think the higher the classification, probably the more parity there is.
Yeah, well, I mean, and like here, like Mart feels like a perfect example because they're all like, it's all the same family. Like every single really good prospect that they've put out have all been part of that same like family bloodline.
Right.
They've just lived there forever. So it's like, yeah, you get one really good family bloodline going, and then it's like, hey, you know, we've always had, oh, here's this brother and here's this brother and here's this brother. And so it's like, yeah, but you don't, I feel like 5A is probably my answer.
Well, then, yeah. And what if you get a kid from, I don't know, let's say Albany or something, and he's a really good football player. Like he's a difference maker. But he wants to play basketball. Yep. He wants to quit football mid-season and play basketball from the start of their season. You know, like you just don't have that. I feel like in the 6A, 5A division classifications because you're not pulling from that same group of kids.
Yeah, in small schools, it's either you just have an unbelievable class of athletes that just carry on success, or your football team's really good, but your basketball team's awful.
Exactly.
Or your basketball team is awful and your football team's really good. Most of the time, it's just you can tell that both sports are usually on at one time because it's just you just have a naturally athletic class going through it.
Yeah, agreed there.
So,
do we have an ender?
Last one. Best state parks in Texas and best national park trips y'all have ever had.
Love it. Disclaimer, I have not been to a Texas state park, which is ridiculous, I know.
How?
I don't know. I just never have. I've been to a lot of the nationally recognized state parks. I've got it pulled up here. So I've been to Yosemite. I feel like that's a very common one.
I've been to Yosemite.
Yosemite and Yellowstone. I've not been to Yellowstone, but those are the two kind of well-known ones. I've been to the Grand Canyon National Park. That's got to be up there. I mean, I think it's either between the Hawaii volcano chain national park or probably the Grand Canyon National Park, because I feel like between volcanoes and massive Grand Canyons, I feel like they're just two totally different, what do you call them, landmarks? Or just earth-created things that are so different and you just never see. Like if you're talking about, I don't know, a mountain. I don't think, like trees in a mountain, I feel like that's a very common.
You can see that a lot of different places.
You can see that a lot of different places. You're not going to see a volcano everywhere you go. You're not going to see a massive canyon everywhere you go. So I think between the Grand Canyon National Park and then the volcanoes in Hawaii, I think that's got to be two of the coolest national parks that I've been to.
Yeah, my favorite state park in Texas, now disclaimer there, I have not been to Big Bend or Palo Duro. So those are two big ones, like big holes that I'm missing on my Texas state park. I've been to a bunch of Texas state parks. I think my favorite one is, I love Garner State Park down in Concan. Go float the Frio and then go out to Garner, and they've got a dance hall and obviously all the rest of the stuff that the campgrounds have to offer.
Yeah.
But I would say Garner State Park is probably my favorite one that I've been to here. Enchanted Rock is really cool. I grew up right there, so I've done that a million times. But Enchanted Rock, if you haven't done it, that's one of the only ones in Texas other than Big Bend and Palo Duro that are like more singular things, just like you were talking about with the Grand Canyon.
Yeah.
Rather than just a state park with hiking trails.
Yes.
National parks.
We got to get out to Big Bend.
We do. I've been to Yosemite, like you said. Let's see. I've been to the Hawaii one, was unbelievable. I've lucky enough to do that one as well, so that was really, really fun. The Sequoia National Park in California is awesome. Sequoia trees are so dope. But the one in California, because we did Yosemite, the Redwoods, the Sequoias, all in the same trip, but the other one we did on that trip was Kings Canyon National Park.
Oh, I've never heard of that one.
Unbelievable. It's a lot of driving and stuff, but there is a lodge at the very bottom of the canyon. So you drive up the mountain and then have to drive back down into the canyon. There's a lodge at the bottom of the canyon, and we stayed one night in the little lodge down there.
No kidding.
It ruled. Like the water coming off the mountain and into the canyon was like rushing by on the drive and stuff. There's like a lot of whitewater rafting out there. But Kings Canyon is a hidden gem out there in California. That's probably been one of my favorite ones that I've been to. I've done Olympia up in Seattle too.
Yeah.
So it was cool.
Yeah, I've been to White Sands too in New Mexico. That's just different.
Yeah.
I mean, like, there's
Again,
just, yeah,
singular
again, white
thing.
exactly. Yeah, you can actually go down, you can hike down into the Grand Canyon, which I want to do someday.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how, that'd probably take me years unless I just jump, but
Well, let's not do that.
incorrect. But yeah, you can actually hike down, or, you know, I think you can actually take like a helicopter down there, which is kind of cool. But
That is cool. That seems quicker.
That does seem a lot
Probably
quicker.
safer.
I think I would probably prefer that method
Oh God, okay.
because
I
hiking
guess-
is just.
I guess we'll end it with this one because the people are demanding it. What is better, Apple Music or Spotify?
There ain't
It's
no
Spotify,
question.
And now we're done. Here we go. I'll put it up. Thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching. You can
listen
catch
on
this. You can
Spotify.
listen to former episodes, whatever you like. Rate, review, and subscribe to us on Apple
on
Music.
Spotify.
Do you have any final words? Because I don't even want to give them to you.
Spotify started a new thing right now that's really, really cool. That you like it. It makes you have the option to shuffle whatever playlist or shuffle suggestions, and so it's like a radio type thing. It
Pretty sure Apple
rules.
Music has that too.
No,
so.
they do not.
But anyways, Apple Music,
Spotify.
all the way. There is no debate there. Thank you to everyone who participated in Mailbag Mania. We're going to try to do this probably once a month because I just think it's really fun and it's just different.
Y'all have good
from
questions.
Yeah, you guys have really good questions, so we're excited to keep on doing Mailbag Mania.